When I had nothing, I didn't even exist to them. No calls. No concern. No one asking if I ate, slept, or survived. I was the girl they laughed at, ignored, and quietly wrote off as a failure. Then I rebuilt my life from absolute zero. And suddenly, everyone remembered my name. Family members who once said I was useless started calling me successful. People who wouldn't lend me bus money were now asking for thousands. They didn't ask how I survived. They didn't ask what it cost me. They just asked one question. So, how much can you give us? That's when I realized something terrifying. Poverty made me invisible, but success made me a target. And the hardest part? Saying no meant becoming the villain in a story where I was once the victim. People love saying, success comes to those who work hard. That's a lie. Success comes to those who survive long enough to stop being invisible. My name is Ava Miller. And before the money, before the attention, before people suddenly believed in me, I didn't exist. When you're broke, you're not poor, you're ignored. At 23, I lived in a room so small that if I stretched my arms out, my fingers touched both walls. The heater didn't work. The window wouldn't close properly. In winter, I slept wearing 2 hoodies and socks with holes in them. Every morning, I opened my fridge knowing exactly what I'd see. Water. A half bottle of ketchup. And sometimes, if I was lucky, eggs. I didn't hate my life back then. I hated how quiet it was. No messages. No missed calls. No one checking if I was okay. People don't ghost you because they're busy. They ghost you because you don't matter yet. Family only remembers you when you're useful. My mother called once a month. Always rushed. Always distracted. Are you eating properly? She'd ask, already halfway through another conversation with someone else. I'd lie. Yeah, I'm fine. She never asked more. My cousins? They used to laugh when I talked about starting a business. Be realistic, they'd say. People like us don't become successful. And I believed them. Because when you grow up watching dreams fail, you learn not to dream loudly. The moment everything almost ended, there was a night I still don't talk about much. Rent was due. My card declined. My landlord stood in the doorway, arms crossed, tapping his foot like my existence was an inconvenience. You have 3 days, he said. No excuses. That night I sat on the floor, my back against the bed, staring at the wall. I didn't cry. I just felt empty. That's the most dangerous emotion of all. One decision, made out of desperation. I didn't wake up rich. I didn't suddenly get lucky. I made one decision that came from pure survival. I will stop being polite about my dreams. I applied for everything. I worked nights. I failed publicly. I embarrassed myself. And slowly something changed. Not money. Momentum. The first dollar felt heavier than $1 million. My first online payment was $47. I stared at the screen for 5 full minutes, convinced it would disappear. That $47 meant I could breathe. I wasn't completely helpless. I wasn't crazy for trying. I didn't celebrate. I went back to work. Because deep down I knew something. The people who ignored you at 0 will remember you loudly at 100. And they did. When the money started coming slowly at first, so did the messages. Hey stranger. So proud of you. I always knew you'd do something big. No, they didn't. They just knew I was worth knowing now. But this is where the real story begins. Because success didn't bring peace. It brought hands. Grabbing. Asking. Demanding. People didn't want to know me. They wanted what I had. And some of them wanted it badly enough to destroy me for it. The first big money, and the first betrayal. That $47 was nothing. But it tasted like power. For the first time in my life I felt seen. Not by family. Not by friends. By the world. I started working online, tiny gigs at first. Writing, designing, freelancing. Nothing glamorous, nothing viral. But every dollar stacked, I stacked my confidence too. A month later I got my first big contract, $1,200. I remember staring at my bank account like it was a magic trick. I couldn't touch it at first. The numbers made no sense. $1,200. I could pay rent for 3 months. I could eat without planning every meal. I could buy clothes that didn't scream poor. And yet, it came with strings I didn't expect. People smell money like blood. I thought success would bring friends. It didn't. It brought opportunists. The first one was my so-called best friend from college, Lily. We had shared coffees, textbooks, secrets. She slid into my DMs one evening. "Hey Ava, I saw your new project. Congrats. Can you help me get a little loan? Just until payday." Hesitated. I wanted to say no. But then I remembered how broke I had been. How powerless. How ignored. So I said yes. Big mistake. Betrayal smells sweeter than success. 2 weeks later I saw my own idea, my proposal posted online under her name. Viral. Hundreds of likes. People messaging her as if she had done it. I froze. My $1,200 contract? She cashed it. My name? Forgotten. I wanted to scream. To shout. To burn her laptop. But I didn't. I smiled instead. Because I realized something crucial. Money exposes people. And I had to be smarter than everyone. The lesson I learned too late: trust no one. After Lily, I stopped lending money. I stopped sharing ideas. I became silent, calculating. I learned the art of smiling while thinking, don't touch my life or you'll regret it. It wasn't just betrayal. It was education. By the time I realized this, I had gained something even more powerful than money: self-respect. And the hunger for more. The rise gets messy. After a year of grueling work, sleepless nights, and constant rejection, I hit $10,000 in earnings. Suddenly, my DMs flooded with people asking for advice. My inbox filled with fake offers. Family suddenly called more often, asking, "How's your career?" It was laughable. The same people who ignored me at $0 now acted like they had discovered me first. And I let them think that for now. But here's the real shock. The bigger the money, the uglier the world gets. Because some people aren't just envious. Some are dangerous. That's when I got my first threatening email. "We know what you have. Don't think we won't take it." I froze. My apartment felt smaller. Every noise outside sounded like a warning. Money had opened doors, yes. But it also opened Pandora's box. The first viral scandal. And how they learned not to mess with me. By the time I earned $25,000, I had learned something no one tells you about success. It's not the money that makes you powerful. It's how people react when you finally have it. People started noticing. Not because I wanted attention. Not because I asked for it. But because money is like fire. It lights up everything around it, including the things people try to hide. The scandal that blew everything up. It started with a simple Instagram post. A photo of my workspace, clean, professional. A small stack of contracts on the table. I tagged a client casually. Within 24 hours, my DMs exploded. Messages weren't just about work anymore, they were personal. Curious. Jealous. Envious. Aggressive. Then someone shared a screenshot of a private conversation. Suddenly, strangers knew my every move. People online started speculating. She got her money by cheating someone. I heard she owes taxes. Isn't she just lucky? It spread faster than wildfire. Even my friends whispered behind my back. The first taste of real power. I had a choice. 1. Panic. Hide. Cry. 2. Strike back. Loud. Clear. Public. I chose the second. I posted proof of my work, my contracts, screenshots of payment confirmations, everything. Then I wrote, "Before you talk about how I got here, know this. I earned every cent: hard work, sleepless nights, rejections, betrayal. Don't try to belittle someone because it suits your jealousy." The post went viral within hours. Thousands of shares. Comments flooded in. Some were supportive, some defensive, but the narrative shifted instantly. From "she's lucky," "she's unstoppable." Enemies learn fast and make mistakes. After that post, some people tried to bring me down again. One even sent a fake legal threat, hoping I'd freeze. I laughed. I hired a lawyer, replied professionally, and posted the truth again. Suddenly, the same people who had mocked me before started respecting me and fearing me. I realized something crucial. Respect isn't given. It's forced. Sometimes gently, sometimes painfully. Money attracts more than attention. It attracts danger. With viral success came new dangers. Fake friends. Opportunists. People asking for money. Even people pretending to love me, only because they thought it would benefit them. I learned to spot them in seconds. A smile that lingers too long. A compliment that's really a question. A friend who suddenly needs advice. And always about money. By now I had built my armor. Silence in public. Calculated generosity. A mind always 2 steps ahead. And still, the world wasn't ready for what I would do next. The tipping point. It came at a private party. One of those exclusive events you never think you'll get invited to when you're broke. I walked in. Everyone stared. Not because I looked perfect, though I did. Not because I was confident, though I was. But because they knew I had arrived. And they were all thinking secretly, how did she get here? I smiled quietly. Because the truth was, I had arrived. And nobody could ignore me now. The public betrayal, and the moment everyone learned not to mess with me. It all came to a head at that party. The room was full of people who had ignored me a year ago. Now they were pretending to know me, smiling, nodding, whispering. And then, Lily walked in. Yes, the same friend who stole my ideas, my first big contract, my trust. She looked around the room, smug, confident, probably thinking I wouldn't confront her. I didn't panic. I didn't flinch. I walked straight to her. Confrontation in front of everyone. People stopped talking. Phones lifted. The air froze. I looked Lily in the eye and said loud enough for everyone to hear. Remember when you posted my work as your own? Remember when you stole my first contract and claimed it was yours? I hope you enjoyed it because now everyone knows the truth. Her smile faltered. A few people gasped. Some whispered. Others pulled out phones, already typing notes. I didn't stop there. This is what happens when you try to take credit for someone else's hard work. You either step up, or you get exposed. Lily tried to stammer, but the room had already turned against her. The whispers weren't just about her anymore, they were about me. I had become a force no one ignored. Viral moment activated. By the next morning, screenshots of the confrontation were everywhere. Reddit, Instagram, TikTok, Twitter. The headline everywhere. She called out her betrayer in front of a room full of elites and won. People messaged me, strangers commenting. She's fearless. I want to know her story. Wow. That's the power of respect and money combined. For the first time I realized, my life wasn't mine anymore. It belonged to anyone who watched, read, or followed me online. The first taste of influence. It wasn't just fame. It wasn't just money. It was influence. I could shape perception. I could control a narrative. I could expose lies. I could make people respect me or regret crossing me. The power was intoxicating. And just like that, I had crossed a point of no return. Enemies beware. Lily, she vanished from social circles. Some tried to contact me, but I didn't reply. Others who had ignored me before, they started sucking up, pretending to be my friend. I smiled internally. I let them, because I knew the lesson was permanent. Zero viral untouchable. From zero to untouchable, how they learned not to mess with me. By now, I wasn't just someone who made money. I was a story people told. People weren't impressed by my apartment, my wardrobe, or my lifestyle. They were impressed by how I refused to be broken. I had turned betrayal into a weapon, humiliation into momentum, and poverty into fearless ambition. The empire built from zero. I didn't just stop at viral fame. I took it further. I launched my own consulting brand online. I started speaking at events, both virtual and in person. I wrote a guide for people who wanted to escape zero and survive betrayal. Money flowed. But the real change? Respect. Influence. Control. People who had ignored me before? They now listened to every word I said, followed my every move, and quietly feared crossing me. The ultimate victory. One evening, I received a DM from someone who had humiliated me years ago. We underestimated you. We thought you'd stay invisible forever. I smiled, because I knew. They weren't just apologizing. They were acknowledging something deeper. I had survived. I had grown. I had won. I didn't reply. I didn't need to. My success spoke louder than any words ever could. The lesson the world learned. Success isn't just about money. It's about how you carry yourself when the world has tried to break you. Zero had taught me, Trust is rare. Betrayal is inevitable. Resilience is the only currency that never runs out. And when you master that, you become untouchable. The story ends, but the legacy begins. Now, people tell my story as a cautionary tale and an inspiration. Reddit posts, Instagram reels, and viral TikToks share my rise. From being ignored, broke, and betrayed, to confronting betrayers publicly, to becoming a woman everyone respected and feared. The world didn't change me. I changed how the world saw me. Zero betrayal, viral, untouchable. And that's the truth about real power.